Namaskar, everybody. You know, in life, we have good times, we have tough times. While when there are good times, we become very happy, elated. But, tough time teaches a lot to us how to be strong in tough times and what this pandemic of COVID-19 has done. There are so many things happening in people's life. So many people I have spoken to, they say we have developed more patience. But paradoxical things are also there that they are unhappy, they are, anxiety prone, anger, frustration. Their life has become topsy turvy and fatigue has crept in. You know, of course, life have ups and downs. That is part of the life. But how you sail through, that is the most important thing. And we have people coming to us asking what can we do to improve our life and how to prevent from these diseases. You see, corona virus, everybody knows that, of course, in India mortality is 3.5%. But if for an individual person it is all or none phenomenon, he may belong to that 3.5% patient. But how can we reduce the risk further? And when we tell people in these circumstances, do yoga, straight away, people tell us that, oh, I am doing swimming, cycling, I go to the gym, I have these hobbies that I play squash. But if you see, these are only at a physical level, and I don't call them a bad thing, but they are at the physical level, body level, and they are like a hobby. But when it comes to yoga, one should remember it is not a hobby, it is not a religion, it is a way of life. Let me repeat that, it's a way of life. Yoga has got several aspects. People think that yoga means just doing some physical exercises, some asana. No, it is a conglomeration of so many factors which are there. For example, how you behave with your environment, how pure your thoughts are, and how your intentions are pure. Then whether you are doing the physical asanas, then comes the breathing technique. That is what we call as pranayam. And the senses, the five senses which we have, and that control which is there in the mind. And the mind is the one which is most difficult aspect in our system, because always, if you see, mind wanders from past to future. Either we are angry about the past, we have regrets, or we are anxious and insecure about the future, but mind is never there. But yoga, one of the limb, says how you can have this control over your mind, and that's how the pranayama and breathing techniques come into picture. Once we have this control of our senses, then how can we concentrate? Then subsequently meditation to occur. People have one wrong notion that meditation is about concentration. Actually, meditation is deconcentration, and concentration occurs as a result of meditation. That is called as mind without agitation is meditation. And subsequently the samadhi stage which we goes. That's what I have described, the 8 limbs of yoga. Three are very, very pertinent to our talk today. One is asanas, the pranayam, the breathing techniques, and third will be the meditation. If you tell people around you to do this meditation, particularly the college going or intellect people, the doctors, engineers, lawyers, whoever you tell, they actually sometimes keep a doubt because they are certainly a left brain people. We have, left and right brain. Left brain is for logic, analysis, and speech area. Right is for intuitions, music, creativity, that kind of a thing. People who are left brain oriented, they are, of course, sensible, but they are less sensitive. Whereas people who are right oriented, they are sensitive but less sensitive, sensible. We want a balance of both the things, which makes life in a better position. So people who are predominantly nowadays in this competitive world, people are more left brain oriented. They will straight away ask, what is the evidence that these breathing techniques which are taught like pranayam and like Sudarshan Kriya of art of living, or the meditation work? And this is the most important aspect of today's discussion, that how this works. And the research, my personal experience, and the research all over the world which has gone through the breathing techniques, the meditation, and they have shown the immense benefits. And meditation and pranayam, they have said, scientists have also said, I am telling, this is a number one brain changer in the present scenario. And of course, how this works, see, whenever there is a stress, we know our body reacts in certain way. Like for example, that we have a anxiety prone people, palpitation, type A personality who has depression, stress. The three systems which are, we basically are telling the triangle, the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system, they always work in harmony. Whenever brain is affected by depression, anxiety, straight away the neurochemical and hormonal disbalance tend to occur. They have done the studies, particularly the stress hormone cortisol. Of course, when there is a stress or an infection, cortisol is released. It is not a bad hormone. But if it is sustained for a longer period, it will create problems like diabetes, hypertension, and their complications, stroke and heart attack, and the immunity subsequently decreases. When a person is doing pranayam regularly and meditation, it tend to stabilize this cortisol hormone within a matter of 3 weeks. And the depression, the anxiety, and other aspects which are there in stress related phenomena, they get better. That's why there was a study which was done in people with depression who did pranayam and meditation. Their medicine quantity decreased, and 50% they could leave the medicines in that study. And this is why this is important, is most of the medicine, apart from cortisol, there are other neurochemicals like serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine. Most of the medicines, antidepressants, they act by increasing the levels of these hormones, and these are the neurochemicals which decrease in this condition. And simultaneously, other thing which they have studied is people who are doing regularly this pranayam and meditation, breathing techniques, they have the immunity which is very robust. They are happy people. They are, more social oriented people, because their oxytocin and prolactin level is on a higher side. So that's a positive aspect of doing this thing. And how this pranayam and meditation affects this aspect. Everybody knows we have a sympathetic system and parasympathetic system. Sympathetic system is for fight and flight response. And nowadays, with anxiety, depression, which is happening, the type A personality, the competitive world, the sympathetic system is always on a higher side. And this, what it does is, the effect of this is definitely there, like hypertension, palpitation, anxiety, aggression, which comes out. Simultaneously, parallelly, the parasympathetic effect, the rest and digestion, it goes into topsy-turvy. And we have to bring this balance back. That is, sympathetic and parasympathetic system, when it comes in balance, this happens with pranayam and breathing techniques. And you see, when comes in balance, parasympathetic and autonomic system which is there, the pupil dilates. We have control on this pupil dilatation? No. Only thing which we can control and put a reset button is our breath. Breath is only in our hand, that we can do pranayam and control the system. And the another aspect is the vagus nerve of the parasympathetic. If you just Google vagus nerve dysfunction, what happens? Anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia, autoimmune diseases, memory symptoms, and few over a period of time, it is one of the causative factor even for Alzheimer's and demyelinating disorders. And what happens with this breathing technique, pranayam, and various related techniques like, say for example, Sudarshan Kriya, it stabilizes the vagus nerve and make it robust, and all the symptoms which occur due to vagus nerve dysfunction, they disappeared in these individuals. So that act through autonomic nervous system, the vagus nerve. And third is, we are breathing. Another very important revelation which occurred to me is, see, we are breathing regularly. The air is going to the lungs. But what is that which is making the brain, the changes are there in the brain with the pranayama and meditation. What happens is, you see the olfactory nerve. I'll just see if I could show it to you. If you see this, I think, okay. If you see this, there is on the screen olfactory nerve which goes to the brain, and there are connections in the brain which is there. Anyway, the picture is not clear. I'll just explain to you. When a person is breathing through the olfactory receptors, the olfactory nerve and tract, when we trace to the brain, it connects 4 or 5 areas, important areas of the brain. Number 1 is amygdala. Amygdala is for our fear responses. How we can control our emotions. Second is hippocampus, that is for learning and memory. Hypothalamus, everybody knows, not only emotion, thirst, and other functions like sexual functions are also dealt there. Number 4 is brainstem area. The sleep center is also connected there. So when a person is breathing in certain rhythm, and why I am telling this connection, let me quote a study. In people with, 4 epileptic patients were going in for surgery. And, before that, they have to go invasive EEG. EEG is just they record the electrical activity in the brain, and they put the electrodes in the amygdala and hippocampus and made them to breathe through the nose. And when they breathed through the nose, there was electrical activities in these 2 areas. But when they were made to take a breathing through the mouth, there was hardly any activity, and few people, when they made them to breathe through the tracheostomy, which they underwent later, there was no activity. It means there is something in the nose when we breathe, it is triggering, and only connection is that olfactory area, and the amygdala and hippocampus are connected with this. And the next part is, this is about the breathing, and when we do meditation, significant changes are seen in areas of parietal lobe. When a person is lonely, they have seen that the parietal lobe gets heated up. Person is lonely, it means, what do you mean by that? He doesn't like, he's so boring in his own company, he becomes lonely. But of course, when a person has done meditation, that area cool down. It means one should remember, friends will come and go, but meditation will remain always with you. Number 2, the fear area, the amygdala shrinks, the architecture changes. The hippocampus area, that is for learning and memory, has become more robust, more thickened. And the few of the people, they have found out the scar on the hippocampus, they disappeared with pranayam and breathing technique like Sudarshan Kriya. Number 4, the people got a better emotional control. How emotional quotient, how they cope up with the surroundings and their behavior with the other people. They became more compassionate. And prefrontal cortex, that's an area of higher intelligence, complex decision making, any multitasking you have to do, where they have found out that it is more thickened, more robust. Within 3 weeks of meditation, they found the changes there in the prefrontal cortex. And then comes the sleep center. The pons has become more robust. The Stanford and Harvard both have done the studies there. With meditation, they have found out that deep REM sleep, which is required for our all the rejuvenation in the night, the healing process, the rest, everything occurs in that deep REM sleep, and that got better. So the breathing technique, the meditation brings lot of changes. And I have to tell you this, that when we have this meditation, you should not just do it by going to the various system online, but it is better to be having a structured teaching, say 3 days, 4 days, 5 days workshop. You learn and do it in a proper way, in a singular way, because you have to follow a single thing, because that's what they have told in yoga literatures, that what we call as dirghakala nirantara ekatattva abhyasa, and of course with a lot of reverence, because long term single pointed focus, following a single thing, you will reach that path. That is a most important today. And with that, if the other aspect which I wanted to tell you is, lot of research is going on here. And nowadays, how from 3.5% mortality you can come down is because lockdown is going to end. We are not going to sit at home for longer period. Schools are going to reopen. We have to have a very robust immune system for our life. Yes, because of this, when we do pranayam and this yoga meditation, our immune system becomes more robust. We can fight with the any bacteria, virus very easily. And you have to follow certain regime also, apart from yoga. What you do whole day, what you eat, you have to watch. Now they have even found out that a few spoon of sugar can decrease the immunity. Then the sleep habit has to be very nice. We have to maintain that sleep pattern also. And other aspect is, in this lockdown period, you are locked, but I want you should not be down. You are locked, but you are not down. Only the key for that lockdown, not to be down, is our yogic system. We have to, now of course, thousands of papers are there. You even don't have to go to the net and check. Whatever I have told you, it is my own experience. Of course, few people want to study, they can go ahead and do that. So these are the most important things one has to do. And I think with that, I will conclude my session. And thank you. And do follow our own yoga.